Recording is in progress.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, February 17th, 2021, of the Advisory Committee to the 109 Board. The first order on the agenda is the approval of the January 20th, 2021 minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes? We all should be getting pretty good about flipping through pages now on WebEx and seeing. Any questions, comments, corrections requested of the minutes? Hearing it none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Sure, they look okay to me.
Motion by Ms. Cunningham. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And that was Ms. Martinez.
Correct.
Any additional discussion, comments? Hearing none, I'll ask all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And the next order is the 109 board report. And would that be you, Mr. Pete?
It is. You're muted, Pete, if you're.
Did we lose Pete?
Nope, he just can't find his unmute button.
Oh, there he is.
So do you want me to go ahead, Bruce? I don't mind doing it.
Yes, please.
Everybody.
Okay, so at the last advisory committee, we had discussed amending the bylaws so that we can add Bruce Blue and another person back to the committee. That was presented to the 109 board, and the board approved our changes. So that has been put into the bylaws. So the bylaws are amended and allowed. And we can go to the next slide. I'd like to introduce Mr. Bruce Blue as he was appointed to the advisory committee representing general solid waste management industry. Congratulations, Mr. Blue. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Or I think everybody probably already knows, but it's good to have you back, Bruce.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all having me back.
Hear you, Bruce.
Thank you for coming back and helping out, Bruce. We appreciate your involvement and look forward to many meetings to come. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have not found another person for the committee as of yet, but we would be out there. We're still out there looking. It's been rather busy, so we haven't been able to really focus on it. So again, if anybody knows somebody for that other citizen spot or environmental spot, it'd be great.
And it's at large, right? Doesn't matter where they live, or does it?
Yeah, it's at large.
Okay.
So unless that was really the highlights of what the 109 board did at the last meeting. This is the recycling cart grant. If everybody remembers, the Urban Services District Department of Public Works has applied for several large grants so that we could cart all of the people that have recycling in bins so that the department can go to every other week recycling. Metro government, Metro government requested the board fund $280,000 so that we can have some matching funds to obtain these over $1 million of grants. So this is a letter to the board chair. You guys can read it. I won't read it, but it's basically thanking the 109 board for being a partner with the Metro government. And, it's really, it's a thank you and wanting to continue the good working relationship that we have. Any questions on that?
I just wanted to note that I discovered there's a little baby plus sign on the left margin that you can click, and then you can actually read things like that.
Didn't know that.
I didn't either.
So right in the middle of the left margin, there's a few little icons.
Oh, I see it. I see that little guy over there. Interesting. Okay, and as part of that, we just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the progress of that those grants. The Waste District has approved that funding, obviously, which allowed us to go ahead and finalize the grant agreements. One is with the Recycling Partnership, and the other one is with CERTIC, which is the Southeast Recycling Development Council, I believe. So those have been approved. They went through the Metro approval process on legal review. They've been approved by the administration. It's at the Metro Council approval now. The first reading was yesterday, in which it was unanimous and moves on to the consent calendar of the Metro Council. So we should have a full approval of those things that we can go ahead and start in earnest on those on the grant. We have gotten a slot in the production to get the carts, and we're pretty sure we've agreed on our price. The price would include the cost of the cart plus the assembly and distribution of those carts. We have all the addresses that we need, and so it should go pretty smooth. So it should be online for distribution in June, if everything goes well. We're currently working on the education and outreach component with the Recycling Partnership, and I can tell you that they bring a whole lot to the table. In design for us. They actually have their graphic design that can help us with anything that we need. And they have so many examples from other cities. So we're working, starting in earnest to work on that component. We want to make sure that that component is going to be consistent with what we're doing with the study in the consistency and signage and so on and so forth. So I guess we talk a little bit more about that later on at the committee level. But so we're on pace, and hopefully on July 1st, we're going to be ready to go to every other week recycling and every other week yard waste. So everything's come together pretty nicely. And that is my update on the recycling cart grant process.
Thank you, Pete. And I want to extend my apologies to Karen. And Karen is really our point person now with regard to the advisory committee. And
That's
old habits die hard. So I kind of reached out to Pete. But
well, the board report was first, and that was all Pete.
okay. Next item on the agenda, we have the subcommittee reports, and for the residential / C&D subcommittee, Ms. Leonard, are you you're there to offer
Yes,
a report?
would you like a report?
Yes, please.
It sounds like we are not in a very different place from the committee that you just were on. Essentially, we came up with 3 items that we feel we would like to expand our knowledge in. One is we want to examine the parameters of the LEAGUE program, which appears to currently affect construction and demolition projects, primarily of large companies and government. And some components of that program might be able to be used as components of local programs with smaller companies, smaller projects. The second item we'd like to do is to get more information on the reuse of recycled shingles in asphalt paving. We want to, before we pursue going into that, we need to know all kinds of things that relate to the use of it, how it changes the asphalt if it does, costs, the economics of the whole thing, as well as the chemistry of the whole thing. And then the third one is we want to review the components of the recycling and compost education programs in the urban services district, because if it's successful, it may serve as a pilot, which can encompass all of Jefferson County. And those were essentially the 3 areas that we came out of our meeting with.
Thank you very much. And very thorough recap. I appreciate it. Adam, were you able to reach out and maybe start a conversation with anyone regarding the asphalt shingle issue?
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I reached out to Asphalt Supply to see if I could set up a meeting with someone there. That's someone who has bought shingles from us in the past, and I feel like we'll have some knowledge, or I can start there. But that's the only one I've reached out to.
Okay, thank you.
Actually,
the LEAD project, I don't know. I have not looked into that at all or done anything further with that.
All right.
I thought that that was actually the LEAD project one was going to come from staff. No?
Yeah, I think Diane has that on her list to do.
And back to shingles just briefly. I've been interested for a couple of years in the paving that goes on around the city. And I've asked some of the professionals who have worked with us in that area if they can lead us to anybody who could answer some of the questions that we've got. So if any of the rest of you have any contacts of people who might have information in this area, we'd appreciate it.
Sandra, on the topic of paving, the state has a grant. It's a rubberized asphalt grant process that's going on right now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's basically taking and adding another component into asphalt. It's supposed to make it so much quieter and last longer. The question is the economics of it. I know the Department of Public Works has went through 2 grant cycles with it, and they paved some roads, and we're watching to see how it does. So I didn't know if you guys are in that process, maybe you would be interested in learning a little bit more about that grant so that we can continue to build some knowledge about rubberized asphalt, where we're putting some rubber in there as another way to increase diversion.
Sounds good. Is there a way we can get that information?
Sure, we can send that your way.
Thanks.
And if you have questions on it, as far as somebody that's went through it, I think that we can get you in contact with our roads and engineering department, and we can give you some info on it as well.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any additional comments or questions regarding the 3 areas that we've outlined on residential / C&D subcommittee group? Hearing none, I guess we'll go through a recap of the ICI/South Hall. Is that Greg Zarandic? Is that the chair of that group?
Okay. Well, we just met, and anybody else can chime in anytime they want to. I don't have minutes to go by or anything. We'll get a copy of those. We basically went through what we were dealing with the two matrices that we had, the large matrix of all the items, and then the smaller matrix that was picked. And the staff presented that they had covered, pretty much accomplished one of the standards of signage and adequate infrastructure. Reviewed that for us. And then we went back and forth with COVID, whether we should change anything or keep what we're doing. I think we're going to stick with what we chose to do in January of 2020. And I don't think I have anything else to report out. We're going to get a report to better define what the self-owned groups are in ICI. So basically, we sort of regrouped and we'll try to get on the same page. We'll hopefully have something a little bit better to report next month. Anybody else need to add?
Well, I guess I want a little bit of clarification from Pete or Karen with regard to the South Hall. I kind of sat in on the last meeting.
Yeah.
And, with the different type of containers required at every waste disposal facility, it's going to be consistent throughout the county. Is that correct, Pete or Karen?
I think if you're asking if that's what the study recommendation was, am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, please.
Yes, I do believe that what they want is in the study, or what they suggested was that at each disposal facility you have an area that you can recover more material of this self-haul. That a citizen, when they come, instead of just simply putting it in with the junk, they have that option of separating yard waste, cardboard, you just name it, all the different, we could look at the components of the self-haul waste composition, but to recover as much of that material as possible. And then they recommended that if you do that, you would have to have the same signage regardless of what the facility is. So people always know self-haul, this is this material, this is this material, so on and so forth. So yeah, it would be having something that's consistent, which is, in every one of the recommendations is consistency is important. So yeah, did that answer your question?
It does, but just one other, maybe if we could expand upon it a bit. Are we to the point of saying they're going to route through their waste after it's dumped out of their bed and sort at that point, to where we have boots on the ground sorting material on pavement at a disposal facility?
No, I don't think that is what anybody would want. It's kind of like with our pop-up drop-offs. There's going to be an education period where we're asking people to come with separated material. And as we do that pop-off, drop-off thing, we're probably going to get a whole lot better at understanding how to communicate that. And I think that whole theme eventually will kind of start to take off. So people will know when they go to a disposal facility that I'm already supposed to have it separated in the truck, so it comes off there pretty easy. What I would recommend to everybody is to visit our next pop-up drop-off event, so you can kind of see the way that we're doing it. And maybe we can get some learnings on how, if we decide to move forward with it, how we could have some best practices.
Do you have a date for that by chance?
It's March 27th, 10 to 2 at Sun Valley Ball Field Complex. I have a slide about it in my education update.
Could you
great.
send us just that information as an email?
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions regarding ICI or self-haul subcommittee? Thank you for your very quick turnaround and your recap, Greg. I think you covered everything pretty much to the T.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the staff report. Will that be you, Karen?
Well, for this one, we did just kind of want to share that we had a change in staff. And so I would like Pete to do that since it's under enforcement.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Rob Lush, who has been coming to our meetings for quite some time, he was actually working to head up one of the subcommittees at one point, but he is the compliance and enforcement supervisor, and he gave reports to the 109 board and the committee at times. His position has been changed. He's moved on to another new position that was created and called the Clean Collaborative Coordinator. And that is a position that is going to work on the cleanliness of the city. It's an important position. I think it's good. It's going to work with all the different agencies of Metro, such as Brightside, Codes and Regs, Vacant Lots, Department of Public Works, SWIMS, to work on problem areas, to work on assessments of the cleanliness. There's a pretty big push along the arterials of the suburban areas. So that is going to be his focus. Part of this is also, as far as the Clean Collaborative goes, there was a lot of money put towards this. There's going to be a hiring of about 14 people that are going to be on a rotational basis on litter routes, which we've never been able to have before. And they're going to be out cleaning every day, which is great. We've over the past several years, we've been able to do litter basically with inmates, and obviously we haven't had inmates for the last year. Don't anticipate getting them for at least another 6 to 9 months. But we're it's like a finger in the dike, and we're hoping that these crews can actually start to hit these things often enough that we'll start to actually see some improvement. And if things aren't as dirty, then people be less likely to litter. So that position is really in the infancy stages, and Rob's going to take that on. So we'll be missing him. I'll be missing him in his supervisor position. So once we get another supervisor hired, obviously they'll be involved with the committee. So sorry to lose Rob, but he's needed to move on bigger and better.
I'll miss him too. I'll miss him as well.
Pete, would it be possible to where Rob could possibly come to our next advisory committee meeting to see how we can collaborate with them? Because certainly if they're putting that many people in much effort towards their goal, there may be some topics that we can draw upon one another from.
Sure. I think it's a great idea.
Any other comments?
I think that's a good idea.
If I may, this Clean Collaborative is going to be really important, but we're not necessarily going to be able to clean our way out of it. So we did ask at the last board meeting. We didn't. There wasn't an action taken on it, but to allow staff to develop some anti-litter education. And this education, we've talked with a few people, would be very targeted towards the age group and hitting them where they live. with their social media on Hulu and possibly a lot of these different outlets. But if anybody doesn't know, the 16 to 34-year-olds are the biggest litterers there are. 3 times more likely to litter than anybody else. So that's what we're going to kind of try to target. We're going to go back to the 109 board with some proposals and ask them to fund some anti-litter campaign to go along with that. So there's a lot of momentum in that area of cleanliness. So we want to kind of pile on if we can. But I think having not just Rob come the next meeting, to continually come to our meetings to kind of give us updates as to what's going on with cleanliness. It is one of the things that the Waste Management District is part of, in their mission to do things with litter abatement and stuff. So just want to let y'all know that there is a big push on cleanliness right now.
Good, thank you.
And I can continue to reach out to Rob every month, just see, he can give updates, or maybe if there's no update, he doesn't have to attend, but I think that's a good idea.
Let's put all the leverage on him as we can. I mean, he used to be one of us, so we might as well take advantage of it.
Yep.
Karen, are you then going to proceed with an education report?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that. So I just kind of wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update of what we've been doing. We had done some webinars since last year. I guess in the summer we started as a way to continually educate the public, even though we couldn't be in person. And so we've continued to offer some series. So we're in the middle of one right now. And this one, tomorrow, we're going to talk about household hazardous waste. And then next week, Diane is going to talk about backyard composting. Last week, Pete did a great one about the solid waste study, and the recording is on our website. So if you didn't attend, that might be a good one to watch if you just kind of want a refresher, since we're really diving deep into those into that study and the recommendations that came out of it. So good resource. And I actually, I think I'm going to put I didn't do it yet. The YouTube link will be added to the page on the website that has the study, but I don't think I did that yet. But it is on our webinar page. So, and then there's several that I've done for how to recycle right. So they're pretty, I tweak them a little bit each time, but for the most part, it's the same thing. But anyway, they've been really great to not only have people join in real time and be able to ask questions, but as supplemental education that we can keep sharing and post to the website. So those are our little webinars.
And I'm seeing that you have a Facebook page and am sharing it to mine, which is something all of us could do to help boost awareness.
Yeah, so we've always had Public Works as having a Facebook page and a Twitter and everything, but because the district is more all-encompassing of the whole county, and that's where the education lies, I created a Facebook page and a Twitter account with it's at No Waste Lou, which I can send real quick on the chat so you can see it written down. So you know what I mean. No Waste Lou. So if you put that in your Facebook search, Twitter search, or even in a YouTube, if you type that in, it should come up and show our YouTube channel where I've been posting all of the links to the videos and stuff. So thank you, Sarah Lynn. And I often share things from the No Waste Lou page onto Public Works because there's a lot more people following that, just to keep getting the word out. But yeah, it's great to have more followers. And we also have, I've mentioned this before, I know, we've finally actually started our No Waste Ambassador program. And that's the link up at the top if you want to jot that down. First of all, that is the district website, LouisvilleWasteDistrict.org. I also have NoWasteLouisville.org, and they go to the exact same thing, but that was just a little catchy kind of thing. But that page, this is a screenshot from that page. So this is our ambassador program, and we did receive a state grant, but that grant is going to go mostly toward a resource library of supplies and things that we'll need for some of our outreach programs that come out of that. So we haven't actually spent any money yet, but we have a group of 13 people that decided to be a No Waste ambassador. And we had last Tuesday, we had a little orientation just to make sure they understood what we were wanting to get out of this. And then yesterday was our first class, and it was kind of an introduction. But as you can see written on our website here, the requirements, we're just asking that they attend these virtual meetings, and then eventually, as the weather gets warmer, we're going to do our best to have some in-person tours with West Rock and Smith Creek, and whatever safety precautions we have to do, or smaller groups is fine, but we'd really like to get some tours for these folks as well. And our goal, well, then they'll also fulfill 20 volunteer hours over the course of the year, as well as an individual project that we, just to kind of push them to try to do something big that they're passionate about. So, so anyway, it's going well so far, and it's exciting to get that program off the ground. Does anybody have any specific questions about that?
What kind of folks did you get to volunteer?
Sorry?
What kind of folks did you get to volunteer, or any in your group? What did it say? 16 to 34 or something?
I don't know how old they are. There might be a few that are younger, a few that are older, but it's a wide range, and we put their addresses up on a map just to kind of see where they're coming from, because we were hoping to get a good representation from the county, which we did pretty well.
Good.
And so yeah, I hear some feedback. I'm not sure if there's someone out there that should mute themselves. All right, if there's no other questions about the ambassador program.
I think I'm going to suggest we all should mute unless we need to speak, to see if we can get rid of this.
All right, well, I'll go in here. I think it might be feedback from the sound of me coming from that. All right, so the compost bin sale, we are going to continue a compost bin and rain barrel truckload sale. We did that last year, and we had a big pickup event in June, and that was really successful. So this year, we're actually going to make a big order of the compost bins and rain barrels, which I don't know when they're coming, but I've already submitted what we're trying to order, along with some accessories. And we're going to have those stored, and then have this, once we do that webinar next week about the composting, backyard composting, I'm going to really start pushing out the this sale and get people to go to this website that's up here at the top, and get people to purchase online. And then our pickup event will actually be in conjunction with the pop-up drop-off event. Hopefully that turns out to be a good idea, but that's the idea, so we don't have to keep having more and more events where we have so many people to come and set up. So so we're already good at the pop-up drop-offs of having 8 different little stations where people can go and drop off different materials. So we're going to add a 9th where you can go pick up your rain barrel or compost bin or whatever it is you ordered. So that's the plan for that. And then of course, we're just continuing to educate and hope that people can contribute to sustainability by backyard composting. And then the rain barrels aren't as much as part of our solid waste initiatives, but they're very popular. And so we figured, why not? We'll just keep selling those as long as people want them. Which this leads me to having this on the screen that was already mentioned. And this is our flyer for the next pop-up drop-off. And that's the website. It's louisvilleky.gov/pop-ups. It's also on the district website, but that one is just, I've just shared that one a lot. And the, so it's at Sun Valley Ball Field. So the goal is there are 9 different events. We're going to offer this March to November, and each month will be in a different part of the county. So we're starting off in the southwest part of the county, and then the next one in April will be in what we're considering like the central part of the county, and it's going to be at Metro Fleet Services on Newburgh Road. And then the May will be in the east part of the county, and that one's going to be at U of L's Shelby campus, which was one that we did in November. That was a good location. We're going to be looking at some other East End locations, but the rotation of the sections of the county remains the same. So kind of southwest to central to east, and then again 3 times. So anyway, you can see listed, we have the different accepted items, and the electronics, recycling, metal, and that's the goal, what Pete was talking about, trying to have people separate their loads so that as they come, they can kind of stop at each little area and drop off the parts that they have, so that we can recover as much as possible. So I think over the 3 that we did, each time we got better and better. And I think that people will kind of catch on to what we're doing a little bit as we go along. So electronics and the metal, and of course we have a household recyclable bin. It's not as popular of a category, but it's an option. We have the paper shredding truck, which of course gets recycled, and then tires, and anyone that brings yard waste, that's going to get composted. And so it's really just the junk items that can't be recovered, really, that go to the landfill. And then the prescription medication gets disposed of properly through the sheriff's office. And then there's, of course, a list of things that are not accepted. Any questions on the pop-up drop-offs?
I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you say when or where the next one is after the March 27th?
It'll be, I think the date is April 24th. That's a Saturday, and it will be at Metro Fleet Services. So I'll get these for sure added to our Recycle Coach calendar. We're trying to get the entire schedule finalized, and I'll likely put the whole schedule on a flyer that we hand out, but that advertises for Recycle Coach, and then kind of gives information about the next event. That's what we did last time, which was nice. And because on the Recycle Coach part of it, the idea is if you had some stuff you wanted to get rid of that wasn't accepted at these events, use the Recycle Coach app to figure out the best way to dispose of those things. Like some people maybe had some batteries with them, thinking that we were taking batteries, and no, we aren't accepting there, but here's a way to find out how to dispose of them properly. So any other questions?
I was just going to say that I had just now gone to Recycle Coach to see what I could find, and it was only listing Sun Valley, and that I did think it would be good to go ahead and list as many as you can, just so if people don't have to drive across town, if they can hang loose, they will.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think those first four, or I guess I should say five, would be completely for sure. It's the East End that the council people that are helping us out with it wanted to move it a little bit around. So that's kind of where we got hung up, trying to see if we can't get the whole schedule done. But yeah, I'll be getting those other dates added to the Recycle Coach calendar. And as if we didn't have enough to do, Diane and I enrolled in this SWANA training that is Zero Waste Principles and Practices. And we've been doing that this month as well. And I just thought I'd share that we've been going through this training and have a lot of videos to watch and the whole big book to read. But it's been really good. And so we're excited to just learn new things that we can use in our projects that we do.
You'll educate the rest of us. That's great.
And I didn't put anything else specific on the agenda, but Bruce, if you want to take over from here, if there's any more that needs to be discussed, or move on to the public input.
Well, two things. I don't want it to appear that I plowed through the agenda and the business items in an effort to get done quickly. I kind of wanted to open it up to all members of the committee and those in the audience. If there's anything that's on their mind that they wanted to bring in front of the committee, they please feel free to do so. And we can just talk about it, maybe brainstorm a little bit. So if there is someone from the public in attendance, if you have any questions or comments, please identify yourself and speak up, and we'll do our best to try to answer them. And if not, if there's any other committee member that would like to talk about a goal or a thought or a way of getting something done, please bring it forward. Don't let me down, Sarah Lynn.
Yeah, I know I have this expectation, but I've already spoken up on everything that was on my mind, I'm afraid.
Okay.
If we, Karen, can you go back to the pop-up drop-off event? So we kind of talked a little bit about this in the subcommittee earlier. This is part of self-haul in the study. And what we're trying to do is that the study recommended that any place that had disposal, and we kind of talked a little bit about it, that they would have places to take these things. This is kind of where this fits in. And I think something that, and if I'm repeating this from earlier, I apologize because I can't keep the committees and what I said straight. But this is kind of where we want to kind of use as a stepping off point for the self-haul recommendation. And, I think that this could actually potentially be expanded. I would like to add concrete, small pieces of concrete or brick and rock to this event. That is something that I think Adam has been interested in. Is that correct?
I was just, as I read through this, thinking of a way, and my thought was it would be no problem for me as long as you had the room or whatever to put a dumpster there during the pop-off drop-up, and then if they had concrete, they could just simply throw it in the dumpster, and then I'd come pick it back up. I would think that'd be very easy to do, and I don't know if somebody somewhat would just monitor what they're throwing in there so that it wouldn't get any kind of wood or trash mixed in with it. But That's something I could very easily do. And then if you wanted to add concrete to the options, I don't think that would be a problem at all.
What would your limitations be? Would you take brick in that same dumpster, or would it just be
No.
concrete with a certain specification?
I really just want concrete. I would take a little bit of asphalt with it also, but I really just want concrete. Really, once like red brick gets mixed into our process, it somewhat contaminates our final product. And so, no, I really don't want brick. I would really, ideally, I would solely just want concrete. But if we wanted to advertise this, I can't see people coming in pickup trucks or in small loads having, huge amounts of anything. So the amount that they would throw in the dumpster would be very insignificant, and I could work with any of that. But as far as just beneficial to me, I'd rather not have the brick in there, but I could maybe make that work.
I can think of things that I have at my house that, small bits of concrete that I could certainly use a disposal option for. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that have that same issue. There isn't that many places to take it, and I think that that would be a good opportunity. Some of the other things that we've talked about, obviously, is household hazardous materials, but we don't want to get into doing that at this drop-off. We have a fully staffed HHW site that's open 5 days a week, and we don't want to transport household hazardous materials in any quantity. So I think that when people ask about that one, that's why we want to stick with the established site. What else do we have that anybody would have a question on as to what we would accept or why we don't accept it?
What
we
happens
have
with
a
the
hand-
tires? Sorry, Sarah Lynn.
Sorry, go ahead.
The tires actually go back to the WRC, and there's an existing contract with tire shredding and recycling. That's where they go.
Okay.
Do we have a handout to give the people who show up here leads on other options for other types of waste that they might not have even thought of before?
Hey, Karen.
Well, so far it's just been an advertisement for Recycle Coach. And
Not bad either.
well,
Sarah's idea is a good idea because we get a lot of questions and we don't always have answers for them.
yeah, Recycle Coach helps because it's kind of a one-stop shop, and I know Sarah Lynn has emailed me before if something seems contradictory or confusing, and you're all welcome to do that because Recycle Coach, it's a company that we contract with. So sometimes they've added some things too that have, that come into play, like whenever the public searches something, if it's not already in the search, it kind of knows that that's something people search. So then they'll create a page for it. And I don't always know that right away to edit it and make sure it's accurate for Louisville specifically. So it's always good to have more eyes on it. And if anything is different, or maybe there's a added drop-off, because if it's a drop-off item, you can actually put in places where you could touch a button and it gives you the map to get you there. So it's a great feature, and it just takes a lot of work to keep it up to date for anything that changes at all. So feel free to take a look at that and let me know if you see anything that can be edited.
Karen, just a quick question. Is it possible to get a printout of all the different materials? Is that listed on the Recycle Coach website that where we can see that? That actually may help us with the self-haul subcommittee and what goes where.
I think they have, if you just look at the app, thanks, Sarah Lynn, it doesn't really show it all at once. I think at one point,
if you hit view all, it lists them in alphabetical order, a whole menu.
You're right. It does do that. And it's interesting though, because there are some things when you search, it gives you the same information. So they once sent me a spreadsheet that kind of showed each item, but then there were subcategories. So, if you search plastic containers, it's kind of broken up a little bit, but it may all go to the exact same page about different types of plastic containers, and it has the same information. So yeah, there's a lot of things on there, and I can actually see, I looked at it today, actually, I can see how often each of them are searched on our app for Louisville. So does anybody want to guess what the number one searched item is?
Styrene.
No, but I think that's in the top 5 or 6. Yeah.
Batteries.
Batteries is up there. I think it might be second. I didn't hear the other.
Paint.
It's up there too. The number 1 though is furniture items.
Really?
Yeah. And then oversized items, which are kind of similar. But it's consistent. It's been that way. A lot of people, even on our website, if you look at our Google Analytics, the bulky waste information is always has tons more views than any other page on our website. So,
there's a Facebook group called New Louisville Freegans. And if you have something you don't want, you put a photograph up, and anybody who's interested in it can send you a private message and make arrangements to come fetch it. And it's amazing what people post, and it's amazing what people come and get.
Mm-hmm. I suggest that a lot. And on Nextdoor as well, if you go to you're going to sell something, you can click a button so it's free. And I always tell people when they ask me how to dispose of things, even like bricks, people have said that about bricks. I'm like, you wouldn't believe people want them. So put it up for free and people will come get it. So it's a great resource. So it's a great way to use social media.
The one thing I was thinking, Karen and Pete, is we're looking at these items, they're going to be similar to what the ICI self-haul component of the one subcommittee. Will you be able to share the rates, the expense, if you will, or costs of like electronics disposal, prescription drug disposal, maybe metal, white goods, that kind of thing? Mr. Blue probably knows a little bit about that. But when we're talking about rolling this self-haul program out, it's going to be good to have that data, and hopefully we can be in the ballpark on the expense side of it when talking about rolling it out to the different disposal facilities.
Right. I think that we can include some of that, like the prescription medications. That is actually through the sheriff's department, and they do that. I don't think that we would be doing that at a self-haul drop-off site because we don't typically. They want to have a narcotics agent there to collect those. The electronics, we can do that on what our average costs are, but it's going to depend a whole lot on the items that are dropped off. If somebody was to drop us off all laptops and cell phones and stuff like that, we'd get money for it. But a lot of people are still dropping off some of the old box TVs, believe it or not, and those cost money. So we can have a little bit of a breakdown on that. The tires, we can get the cost on that. The regular recyclables, I'm not so sure that couldn't be something that is part of services anyway. And then obviously metals, we can even break it down a little bit further, but you don't get a whole lot of metal Although we have at the pop-up drop-off, how many tons were we getting, Karen, at each event? Which was really surprising to me. But we did get quite a bit of metal at the drop-off event. So,
Well, I think the first one we didn't do as much separation. The next two we got a lot more.
mm-hmm. Now we're learning more as we go. That's for sure.
Can I say something?
Sure.
You this Bruce Blue. I don't know what to call this boy. You got to be careful when you drop off any appliances with how do you call it? Freon, because it's against the law.
Right.
You have to have the right way to do it. So just a warning.
It's a good point. I think that's actually is that a not acceptable item, Karen?
That's correct. We don't accept that.
I thought it said here down at the bottom somewhere.
Items containing coolant.
Yeah.
We did have someone, I remember at the one in October, brought a refrigerator, but we sent her down to the waste reduction center because it's accepted there, since they have the ability to do whatever that has to be done, removing the freon.
I think, yeah, we can do it at the WRC because we have a certified person there to take the freon. But on whole, we don't want to do that. And Bruce, you can probably speak to this better than I can. A lot of the times when people bring them, they've already cut the line.
Yeah.
And any freon's already gone.
That's true, but if I remember right, you're supposed to prove how you got it out. You're not supposed to cut the line. So, I mean, it's a big, if we buy them and the line's cut and we don't find out how it's cut, we can get in some real trouble.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
That's a good point. I know, Pete, in the past, we used to require a certificate of freon removal from a licensed vendor. So there was a paper trail as to who was the responsible party for removing that freon, certifying the piece was clean.
Good.
I think that's good. It's something that we can definitely keep in mind. That's good info.
There was a question in the chat from Rhonda Poston, and I don't know if you want to ask a question about recycling or electronics recycling, or if that got answered already.
Hey, it's Rhonda from Anytime Waste. I've got a question about electronic recycling. If I have a resident who calls me, we pretty much tell people that if you have a plug on it, we don't want it in our bin. And then I refer them to the Waste Reduction Center down on Meriwether. But do you have a suggestion when it's a larger entity like a bar or a restaurant where they're getting rid of like 25 TVs? I mean, how because I'm getting a couple of calls like that, and I guess it's just people were thinking about spring cleaning. And, you know, I know how to handle the one, but when you get somebody that's got 25, that's a different scenario.
Well, I know personally, you know, we have a service offering through Rumpke that can handle e-waste, but it is certainly not free. It's a per pound charge, and it has to be palletized. And then we will pick it up and take it and have it dismantled and properly managed. Yeah,
Do they get?
Sure, there's many companies that do that.
So do they get back a certificate of recycling behind it once it's been picked up?
Oh, I definitely imagine that's very possible. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Never said anything personally, so I can't speak to it directly. But I know with what we have to handle, there would definitely be some paper trail to ensure that it was recycled.
Right.
I'm sorry, Sarah Lynn, go ahead.
Isn't it the case that a business in Jefferson County can go to the Meriwether site and pay per pound for that sort of thing?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. You just need to call and make an appointment There are other recyclers out there. You just need to maybe I think Bluegrass is another one that you can call, and they may come pick it up. I'm not sure about their services, but yeah, there are some options out there that will. The WRC is certainly one that's open 5 days a week. They just need to bring it in and drop it off. But if they're a business, they do need to make an appointment, and there is a charge.
So if it's a business and the business is in Jefferson County, but the person running the establishment is not, does that matter?
If it's generated from Jefferson County,
Okay.
then it is acceptable. The WRC doesn't really take anything from outside of Jefferson County in any regard.
Okay, thank you.
And here again, the recycle coach has several categories for things that would have receptacles or plugs rather.
I want to ask a question maybe and not throw out a can of worms or anything, but when you were originally going back to talking about concrete and then bricks and stones, another thing, like I know myself personally, sometimes I ride around junk pickup week looking for rocks for my garden. I know a lot of people next door are always looking for bricks and concrete blocks and things like that. Would we ever want to have, it's reduce, reuse, recycle? Would we ever want to have at any one of these pop-ups or anywhere else a place where people can dump off rocks and bricks and somebody else could come and look for rocks and bricks?
I think that's a really good point, Greg. I have envisioned for quite some time a reuse location, a physical reuse location that people can drop off items and other people can pick it up. I know that you can actually, there's a company that will assist you to do that with even household hazardous materials, as long as it's in a certain container, the original container, it's sealed and stuff like that, which would save us money on disposal at the has-been. But that is getting a site like that. You have to have a location, you have to have space to be able to do that. Some people have done that, went away from that because there's so many online exchanges, and it's just naturally occurred. And we've talked about them with the what was it, the Freegans, and with Nextdoor as a way to do that kind of stuff. So it's actually happening without a physical location right now. So you have to wonder, is that something that we would want to do? And plus, you already have like Habitat Restore and Goodwill that are very specific to certain items. So I'm not sure that we would want to do it a physical location anymore.
And it's common with New Louisville Freegans that when you put up something, you say what neighborhood you're in, so people can kind of pre-screen themselves, whether it's convenient enough to them or not.
Sure. Were there any other things about the pop-up drop-off questions that you may have? Awesome. I think it's a great program and fits right in with self-haul.
Well, I did put the other announcement, as far as announcements, the other meetings coming up. I put the dates up there. I would like to reiterate that those meetings are listed on our district website. So LouisvilleWasteDistrict.org, and if you go to the district meeting page, it kind of tells the normal day of the or the weekday of the month, each time they're going to be. And there's also a Google Calendar that they're on recurring, so you could see that and maybe subscribe to it. I'm not sure how that works. It never really shows up on our Metro page because of some kind of block. But the other thing is that's where I post meeting links as well. So maybe if you aren't on the subcommittee and you didn't get the invitation, you can always ask us for it, but it's also, once it's created, I post it onto that website. So you can always go there and click the button to either register to add it to your calendar, or at the time of the meeting, you can click the button just to join. Bruce, are you
Bruce, you're
talking to us?
muted.
'Cause you're muted.
Well, that way you didn't hear my wife whooping up on me in the background. Sorry about that. What I was saying was, I encourage everyone to attend the 109 board meeting on the 24th, just so we have a clear understanding of what their expectations of us are, whether it's in subcommittee or in committee member meetings. Are there any other topics for discussion prior to moving towards adjournment? Well, I thank each and every one of you. If there's nothing else, I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn. I see
So
Mr.
moved.
Smith. And okay. And second by Mr. Story. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Everyone be safe out there. Now's not the time to let down your guard.
Hey, Brian,
Yes, sir.
can you hang out for just a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Bye, everybody.